sir. This is my wife, Dolly. I don't think y'all ever met.
Rick Klein, good to meet you.
Nice to
Whit
meet
really
you.
runs things around here, no matter what court it is.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
The pretty flowers, the pretty trees.
Yeah, we've known Courtney back before he was, a nobody.
When he was changing tires.
Yep,
He was fixing-
yep, right enough oil changes.
I mean, he's done really well.
Yeah.
He's done really well.
Everything good with your group?
Oh, yeah, yeah, we're going good, surviving the heat. Been a rough couple weeks in the hot weather.
A little more coming, I'm afraid.
Unfortunately.
How are y'all doing? Hey, Courtney.
What's new? Everything good? You never know. Just game. Hard to believe, isn't it? Big news night. Tony's here.
Is that what it is?
Yep. Take a picture of Tony. He's been in business. As long, almost longer than me, I think. When did you open your business?
Me,
Yeah.
I came along in '98,
I got you beat.
but Ed Carpenter was in that building in '85.
Doing,
The same thing.
same thing. Yeah. He was all car quest, right?
He was never Carpenter.
He was never, you started.
About a year before I bought it. He was my customer. Parts Plus.
All right. Everybody here? I'd like to call the the public hearing to order to receive comments on ordinance 2215, zoning designation. Is anybody here to speak on that public hearing? Seeing none, close the public hearing, and now I will bring the town council, the June 21st, 2022 council meeting to order and ask Councilman Bill Danielson to call order and do the pledge of allegiance. Y'all please rise with me.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads for a second. Dear Lord, I pray tonight that you give us the wisdom to make the decisions we need to make for the best of our constituents and for the town of Irmo. And pray for the health of all of us here and within our town boundaries and within this state and country, and those serving abroad. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We received our minutes from the last 3 meetings electronically, and I'd like to see a motion for the acceptance of the minutes from the May 17th, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any changes to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of reading of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
From the 17th, all opposed, seeing none. Same thing for the minutes from the May 31st, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion for acceptance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And are there any changes to the minutes? Any modifications? Seeing none, is there a motion for acceptance? Everybody for acceptance, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And second, the June 7th special call meeting on June 7th, 2022. Is there a motion for acceptance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A second. And are there any modifications to the minutes from this June 7th, 2022? Seeing none, is there all in favor of the acceptance of the minutes? Say aye.
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 All opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Report of standing, administrative briefing. We all got a copy of the administrative briefing from Mr. Dennis. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Are there any changes for Mr. Dennis? Mr. Dennis, do you have any changes for us?
The only thing I wanted to add is I was contacted by the Friars Gate Skate Park Committee. They're participating at Owens Field on June 21st for National Skate Day and invited you guys if you wanted to attend.
When is that?
June 21st July 21st, I believe it is.
Okay. Any changes for Mr. Brown? Seeing none, Mr. Sickinger, we have any new in-town businesses?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. Interfirm Brokers, Infallible Body Essentials, Moore Buston, I want to say, Woodham LLP, Build on Your Land, Casey Hair Design, 11 Time 24 T-shirt and catering, and Ultimate Car Wash Service.
Fantastic. We continue to grow. That's a good sign. Any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none. Consideration of communications. Will y'all join me down here below so we can... Thank you. This is a part of the meeting that we do every month where we highlight a business or businesses in the town of Irmo. Yeah, come on up here. And this month we have the honor and the privilege to be honoring Irmo Auto Supply. And I want to thank you so much for coming in recognition of being the Small Business of the Month for the town of Irmo for June 2022. We present to you this plaque for the Irmo Auto Supply. Got it? All right. Let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you. Okay. Now, would you like to say a few words about your auto supply business? I know we use you a lot.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Irmo Auto Supply has been in business in Irmo for almost 24 years. It was Carpenter's Auto Parts shortly before that. We feel like that we had an opportunity to work in a very good community and were supported well by the local community. The town of Irmo does some business with us and Whit and his group at the shop. And it's been our pleasure to operate here since 1998.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations
Thank you.
on being a business of the month. Thank you. This is the Irmo. How we going with that?
Been here. Never knew.
Continuing with the city communications, community connections, Dr. Waldman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, I wanted to bring to everyone's attention the Summer Break Cafe. This is the free summer food service program that is being sponsored by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and administered by the South Carolina Department of Education. Lexington Richland School District 5 is participating again this year. There are several sites, and they're listed on this slide. Dutch Fork High School, Irmo High School, Irmo Village Apartments, Harbison West Elementary School, River Oaks Apartments, and Adventure Museum. The program runs from June 6th through August 3rd. The details at each site are listed on this slide. You can also get this information by contacting School District 5 or the Department of Student Nutrition at 476-8154. This is a program that provides free breakfast and lunch for children 18 and under. Just wanted to make sure that all of our residents and anyone watching tonight's meeting was aware of this free summer food program.
I see some of them on your list, like Irmo Village doesn't do breakfast, but they do lunch. Is that the way it's supposed to work?
Yes, some sites are doing breakfast and lunch, some sites are only doing lunch. And the times vary depending on the site.
Mm-hmm. This is very good, thank you. Is there any other updates from the school district, Barbara? Are they ready to make Irmo the best school district in the country?
Of course.
Okay. Good, thank you. I'd like to bring everybody's attention that we're having the ribbon cutting for the community garden on Saturday the 25th at 10 o'clock. But also, we're featuring our first Irmo's Farmers Market at 9, from 9 to 12. So anybody who's interested in getting some fresh groceries, tomatoes, cucumbers, whatever they're gonna sell, you can come down between 9 and 12 and pick up a good deal on some fresh veggies, as well as tour and get your sign up for your bed in the new Irmo Community Garden. This is the first tranche or the first feature in that 10-acre Rawls Creek project. I'm very proud of the fact that it's reality now after, 2 years of planning and going through all the hoops and hurdles to get it done. We're there. We're crossing the finish line. So I want to invite everybody out that's watching online and everybody here tonight to put that on your agenda. 9 o'clock on Saturday, 9 to 12 on Saturday for the first Irmo Community Farmers Market, as well as the grand opening of the community garden. I'd like to call up Mr. William Bowman to the podium. He wants to give us a presentation on Juneteenth that we just celebrated this past week. As you know, Irmo was participating in the week-long celebration of Juneteenth, and Mr. Bowman and Mr. Coleman, I think, Mr. Bowman will introduce them. Both of them headed up the Irmo committee that worked on the Irmo piece, which is the history and legacy of the town of Irmo. And you did a very good job, Mr. Bowman.
Thank you, sir.
And I want to thank you, and you can update us, if you will, the council.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The 2022 Town of Irmo's Juneteenth celebration, Museum in the Park, was a complete success. I'd like to think that excellence is always the standard when it comes to our town. On June 19, 2020, our Mayor Walker and the Town Council's decision to designate that day as Juneteenth Day for the town of Irmo was monumental. The vision for this year's Juneteenth event was a 3-year inspiration and certainly out of the box. I want to say a big thanks to Mayor Walker and the Town Council supporters for their leadership, guidance, and support. I'd also like to recognize Courtney Dennis, Mill Wilkins, Whit Klein, and his public service staff, as well as Chief Dale and the public safety staff as well. This year's event's purpose was to support our town's proclamation, and in that spirit, our goal was to celebrate our nation's proclamation of abolishing the practice and institution of slavery, as well as to educate all about our town's history and that most are unaware of. Nationwide, there are Juneteenth celebrations occurring in many cities, but what makes the town of Irmo's celebration unique is that it was done at a minimal cost to the town, no cost to our citizens, and it provides a strong educational component. I'd like to thank our exhibitors, Lexington County Museum, Capital City Lake Murray Country, Lexington County Registration and Election Commission, Dominion Energy, Town of Irmo Library, Richland County Library, Harbison Community Association, Midlands Technical College, Boy Scout Troop 74, the Eagle Scout Unit, and the Women's Military Memorial. In addition, I'd like to thank Liberty Tax Service, Dunkin' Donuts, and Nothing Bundt Cakes. Finally, I'd like to thank the 2022 Juneteenth Committee for their positive energy, passion, and hard work doing all the research that it took to put this project together. And it is also noted that 16, or at least 16 of our 20 members of the committee are lifelong residents of Irmo. And my co-chair, Lawrence Coleman, is here, and he and I are also lifelong residents of Irmo. Again, thank you, the citizens of Irmo, for your participation, and the town council for this time to present.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bowman. And we're going to save the date for 2023. Is that right?
If you say so, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, and great job. And I know most of y'all attended it, and you saw the turnout we had. I think we had almost between 750 and 1,000 people enjoying red cake and red Kool-Aid and all those Juneteenth pieces that make it a special event. It was a very good event, and I want to appreciate you again, your dedication and your service. Thank you. All right, Artists of the Month, Lane Lane. They're up in the lobby now. They're being displayed. Okay, I want to invite citizens to visit Town Hall if you get an opportunity and look at the artwork from Lane Lane. She has it posted in the lobby, and we'd love to get y'all to go and see it. Of course, if you're so inclined, purchase it. But we are very much inclined to showcase the art history in our town. And I'm looking forward to many more artists that will display in the town hall throughout the year. At this point, we're having a presentation by citizens on agenda items that we're going to speak about tonight. We have a lot of ground to cover. So I only see one person, Mr. Jerry Gallagher. Mr. Jerry Gallagher, you want to speak to council about something on our agenda?
Yes, sir.
Come on up front here, Mr. Gallagher, and let us know who you are and where you live at, that kind of thing.
That's fine. My name's Jerry Gallagher. I live at 101 Muskrat Run, just around the corner from Salem Church.
Mm-hmm.
The item that I want to address is actually the first one under new business, so if it's better for me to wait, I'm very well. Go ahead? Okay. So I was very pleased when I heard that the previous petition to rezone to put up apartments on that property was not supported. My questions are more for clarification. If this property of 16 acres were to be rezoned for residential RS, how many home units would that necessarily allow? And before you answer that, I'll tell you that my concern is really about the ability for the traffic and the road infrastructure to absorb any large, moderate or large communities coming back into that area, which is, just right around the corner from where we live and we travel through every day. So thank you. That is my question, is just to clarify and understand, if it is rezoned by that, what are the number of home sites that would be allowed on that 16-acre parcel? So
We'll address that when we talk about it down.
Okay.
Thing, but yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's all. Thank you very much for your comment, your question. Anybody else that didn't sign up want to talk to us about things on the agenda? Seeing none, we're going to move forward. Unfinished business. We have a second and final reading of the 2022-23 fiscal year budget. We beat it up and debated it, but we actually got it down and got it agreed to that we're gonna spend $8,306,289 for the operation of the town of Irmo for next year. Is there a motion for second and final reading?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Mr. Signature, do you have any more comments on that? I mean, we
No, debated ad
pretty much
nauseam.
beat it up.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? No? Clerk, will the clerk read a roll, please?
Mr. Bush,
Yay.
Mr. Danielson,
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger,
Yes.
Dr. Waldman,
Yes.
and Mayor Walker.
Yes, thank you very much. Second and final reading of ordinance 2215, and this is for the zoning designation of fringe agricultural. That was a public hearing we had for the property on, owned by Miss Georgia Bush. Mr. Kelly Bush, you're gonna recuse yourself from the vote since he has a intimate relationship with the person that owns that property. I would. Oh, I said intimate, Muslim. Is there a motion for second and final reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any more comments? No. Will the clerk read the roll without Mr. Bush?
Mr. Danielson,
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger,
Yes.
Dr. Waldman,
Yes.
and Mayor Walker.
Yes. Thank you very much. Congratulations, and we already annexed you in town, but now we can go over hunting over in Georgia Bush's property. Thank you. And she can have chickens. New business, first reading of ordinance 2217, rezoning 16 acres from fringe agriculture to residential single family. This is what the planning commission sent to us. It was, this is what the planning commission sent us to us for zoning. I believe the owner wanted that. He put it on the agenda, so I guess he wants that too. All right. Is there a motion for first reading? Is there a motion for first reading? I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right. First reading of this ordinance is to take this property from fringe agricultural to single-family residential. It's about 16 acres. We were asked, how many residential developments can you build on that? Well, according to our current ordinance in that zoning classification of residential single-family, you can build 4 units per acre minus the infrastructure, meaning if you have roads and retention ponds and all that, that will reduce the number of buildable acreage that you have. So if you have if you have 16 acres, the most you can build on that property will be about 64 single-family residential units. Now, that being the top number, to me, it's, you talk about the impact to the roads, and that's one of the conversations we're having on council, is if we're gonna expand the residential unit development on that Route 6 and Muskrat and all that stuff, we need to expand the infrastructure, meaning the road sizes need to be able to accommodate that. The sewer system needs to accommodate that. All those features need to be something that's considered, and I'm not sure, I don't know if anybody on council knows the answer to this, but I'm not sure anybody has really looked into that as far as the sewage capacity for what they wanted to build and if it can handle it. And of course, the infrastructure, we know that that's something that's bigger than just this one development. But anyway, that's my questions, and answer your question. I think we have have done it. Mr. Sickinger?
Yeah, I drive by that road once or twice, 3 times a week. I mean, going back to the meeting where a lot of people spoke, this is a nasty intersection. And my concerns are primarily around, traffic. Not setting everything else aside. If cars can't get out, that's a problem, and it's already a problem at that interchange. At the same time, part of me says I should just vote no and say, go get the county to fix the road and do something with that and SCDOT and get some work done there. But the other part of me says, at some point, whether it's up or down that road, someone's going to get someone to approve them to do some housing, and one way or the other. I'll make my mind up, but frankly, I'm right down the middle right now.
Okay, Mr. Bush?
I'm intimately familiar with this area, and I think the Plan Commission was trying to go with the best interest. I know the developer was asking for GC. My perspective on it is leave it as is for right now until somebody comes back, because they're going to come back, whether we rezone it or not, they're going to come back at some point to try to rezone it again, I would assume.
Yeah, but the problem is you can't, if we reject it tonight, they can't come back for, what, a year?
Months, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, I guess the question is, so they didn't ask for this zoning. Does it still preclude them from coming back for a year?
well, wait a
is it
minute.
Point of clarification.
They did ask for, that's what I asked the administrator. Is this the zoning, is that what he asked for?
He did not ask for residential.
That's, okay. Courtney, Mr. Administrator, that's the question I asked you. Is this the zoning that the owner wanted to do? That's why we got it on our agenda? Or is this, he's just taking what the planning commission recommended?
This is the planning commission's recommendation. If you shoot it down, it doesn't preclude them from not coming back within 12 months. That's only if it was denied out of planning commission.
That's incorrect. If we do not pass what they're asking for rezoning tonight, they can't come back here and ask for another rezoning to something else next month. I know that's for a fact is what we have always been operating under. Now, the question I have to you, is this the zoning that this the zoning that the owner is wanting, or he's just not?
The owner's been notified throughout this process, and he has not objected to this continuing on.
So is this what he's requesting?
He didn't request anything.
Okay, well, then I want to take this off I want to postpone this vote, because if the owner did not request this zoning, then we don't need to be voting on something that he's not wanting.
The ordinance allows for somebody to do it on their behalf, and they signed it. The owner did sign the petition that went to planning commission.
But that's not what I asked you. I asked you, is the owner the one requesting this RS? And if you're telling me that the owner has not.
He has not objected to the process thus far. He's
Okay, so,
notified of the change.
well, can you find out and get back to us before we do first reading on this? And find out if this is what he's requesting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So in that motion, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we defer this first reading until the next council meeting, and until we get the answers to that question, and whether or not, if this is not what he wants, then give us the proper zoning that he wants. Because it sounds like he's going with what the planning commission recommended, not with what he wanted. And I don't want us to be zoning something that somebody doesn't want. So I made that motion to move this, defer this to the next council meeting. Is there a second? Is there a second for deferment?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. And you heard the argument or the discussion. Is there any more discussion?
Yeah,
Bill?
Yes, I've got a comment. I knew from the get-go that the owner has not requested this. And I voiced my opinion about this at the last meeting with the planning commission coming up with a zoning when it wasn't asked to do. So I think you're right. I don't think we need to move on this at all and wait to see what the owner wants.
Exactly.
Could I ask for clarification yet again? So what I think would happen is if we just voted no and left it as is, they would be able to come back within that 12, they wouldn't have to wait 12 months.
No, it's on our agenda to rezone this to residential, single family. If we don't approve that, then it gets knocked down. That means that the zoning request that he made doesn't go through. That means he can't come back with another zoning request for at least 12 months. Now, that's why I want to make sure that this is the zoning that the owner is requesting, not the zoning that the planning commission has given him to give it to us. That's why I want to put it off until next meeting when Courtney can verify that this is what the owner wants. And if the owner doesn't want that, if the owner wants something else, he can change it to whatever, or the request of whatever he wants. But right now, I don't, like Bill said, this is what the planning commission, sent us. Anything else, Mr. Bush?
Nope.
Dr. Wallman?
I do have one concern with this ordinance, and that is that we're being asked to rezone a portion of a parcel. And in the past, that has created problems with zoning because it's the entire parcel number that needs to carry a zoning. I would like to see this 16-acre parcel be pulled out as a separate parcel of land prior to us voting on any rezoning of it.
And please echo that to the owner, that that's what we'd like to see. Because right now, you're right, you're absolutely right. There's one tax map number for the entire, 30-something acres? Whatever that entire acreage is, there's one tax map number. We're asked to rezone that one tax map number to RS, and that will cause issues down the road. If we try to take the piece that they want to make commercial or neighborhood commercial and rezone that again. Please tell him to get their information together so we can know exactly what he wants. Okay, Dr. Wallman?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
point of clarification. So who initiated the petition? It was an agent of the owner?
It's Mr. Peter.
Or was it the town?
It's in
No, it wasn't the town.
Okay.
It says whereas Mr. Peter.
Oh, I'm looking at the large, yeah. So did they have a form notarized designating the petitioner as his agent?
There's a form that has a signature of the owner and of the designated agent. Now, that's the petition that
Yeah.
was sent to Planning Commission.
Okay. And
Their request was for CG.
general commercial, yeah, okay.
Okay. Any more discussion on the motion to defer?
Yep. So I had one more, I hate to belabor this, but so if we only defer at one meeting, if we don't get any results between now and then, it's got to go on the agenda in the next meeting, or is there a way to defer this until we get, or can we tape, like, what can we do to
When you defer it, you've got to defer it to a
specific meeting date?
Correct.
So if we do the next, I guess my question is, if we do it to the next meeting and we don't have the information we need, we're going to be right back doing this again.
No, not at all.
Well, the problem
vote
is
it down.
trying to get
Excuse me. We'll vote it down. We'll vote it either up or down at that point.
Okay.
Yes, Bill.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They'll never get TMS assigned in a month. I don't believe. So if you want to break, that parcel is going to be broken with a separate number. That's not going to happen in 30 days.
You don't think you can get a TMS number in 30 days? I thought he was already working on it, to be honest with you.
We have brought it to his attention through letters and email conversations to get that done. They haven't presented anything to it. That requires a survey and it be recorded.
I got you. So we've already notified him that he needs to break it up, Dr. Wallman. And if by the next meeting, which is July, if he hasn't done it, then he's not serious. I don't think he wants to go forward. I mean, anybody has a problem? I mean, so you want to put it to the next meeting, or you want to just defer it? Okay. Clerk, read the roll on the deferment, please. Not the deferment, the
Yeah, the motion.
the motion to defer, I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson,
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger.
Yes.
Dr. Waldman,
Yes.
and Mayor Walker.
Yes. Okay, this item is referred to the July meeting. And Courtney, would you please contact the petitioner, Mr. Casey, and reiterate, what is he asking us to rezone it to? And does he have it broken up into two separate parcels? Because right now, it's only one parcel that he's asking to rezone it. First reading of ordinance 2218, and that's to annex 5 acres off of Farming Creek. Is there a motion for first reading?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay. All right, Mr. Sickinger.
I am in favor. Makes sense. Contiguous and surrounded by Irmo.
He's asking for, this is just gotta go to the planning commission too, right? Mr. Danielson?
Yes, it certainly makes sense. They want to come into the town. Let's bring them into the town.
Okay. Mr. Bush?
Yeah, and I think actually I'd like to get a point of clarification on this property. I think half of it's already in the town of Irmo. Or is that not correct?
Yeah, so I talked to him on the phone today. Apparently, he did purchase some property that abuts Rose Oaks, like 3 acres, that was in the town of, or is in the town of Irmo. He combined it with his TMS number that is not in the town of Irmo. So to clean this up, it would be better if we go through this process of annexing the full property. Otherwise, we'd have to get kind of a legal opinion on when he annexed the 3 acres and had it combined to his TMS number, does that make him does that make the whole 6 acres part of the town? I don't know. Either way, he didn't get it designated with zoning either when he did that. So I think we need to walk it through from A to Z. Let him come through the annexation process, have the public hearings, get a zoning designation, and take the whole TMS number in.
And is there any statutory issue with double annexing a piece of property that's already in the town?
Double annexing?
Does that effectively negate it?
It adds to a lot of confusion when half the property's considered in the town of Irmo, half the property is not, when he's wanting to do things like add a barn, vote, get trash. I mean,
Not to mention, we're not getting franchise fees because I don't think the house itself is in the town of Irmo, but
so this would clean it up.
So the house isn't in the town?
the house isn't in the
But the
town.
land is? And
The back half.
Yeah. Hey, what about that piece next to that little diagonal? Do you know anybody that owns that court, Kelly?
That's Mr. Gilbert.
Is he not wanting to come in? Okay.
Point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
So is the parcel address 1342 Farming Creek? Is that correct? So on the Richland County, maybe this is part of the problem, but on the Richland County GIS map, they have us as a completely different number for TMS. I'm sorry. I'm looking at in the ordinance part where it's 3302. Is that, am I just not understanding TMS correct?
No, I think it's a miss.
Is that a Scrivener error?
Yeah, you caught a Scrivener error.
So it's the reading of the ordinance 2218 is shown as Richland County TMS number RO 3302, and it should be the same as at the top of the ordinance, which is R 032070102.
So which one is it?
It's the top one.
Yes, the top one.
All right.
We'll get that corrected. Good catch.
Do we need to amend?
3302?
Yeah,
Is that the right one?
3207. I mean,
That's 3207. is
correct. The top one is correct.
Okay, that's what it says on here. What are you
Well-
saying? On there, it says 3302.
Right, and that's correct. That's
We're not voting on that. We're voting on this only.
No, this is all.
Oh, that is? Oh,
Yeah, you get
okay.
that in the packet.
I got it. Okay.
Do we need to amend? I would assume so.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
amend the ordinance by adding that language of TMS number R 03207-01-22 to be the TMS number for the ordinance.
All right. All right, thank you. I make a motion to amend to replace Richland County TMS number R03302 to R03207-01-22 as reflected at the top of the
slow down,
ordinance. No,
slow
because
down.
it's all there.
Slow down.
It's all there.
know, but
I'm just
slow down.
reading it.
You
don't need to-
so fast, I can't.
I'm reflecting the numbers. That's right.
I'll
So
second
a
it.
second, all right. Any questions about the amendment? Anybody else? Clerk, will you read the motion to amend the TMS number, please?
Yay.
Yay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Great, thank you. And now, to accept the original with the amended zoning, we make first reading. Is there any more discussion on that? Clerk, we read the roll, please.
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes, thank you. Moving on, ordinance 2219, and that's annexing two pieces of property on 1181 and 1191 Dutch Fork Road into the town limits. Is there a motion for first reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Danielson?
Yeah, this is, excuse me, this is some quality property on Dutch Fork Road. It's a little deceiving when you look at the address because it's Old Dutch Fork Road, which doesn't exist anymore technically. But this property and the two smaller properties that are included here, those two smaller properties are the properties immediately to the right of the car wash as you're looking at it. So it makes sense to me, plus it's ultimately going to be commercial property. And makes sense just to keep going up the road to bring into the town.
Okay, who seconded that? Mr. Bush? Any comments?
Yeah, I'm in favor. I mean, it'll help us to have some say in how this gets developed out. So I think it makes sense to bring it into town.
Okay, Dr. Wallman?
I'm in favor of this.
And Mr. Sickinger?
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Okay, and this is gonna go to the planning commission? Courtney, this is right, okay. And the planning commission will come back with a second reading of zoning designation, which, keep in mind, most of that area up there is, right now, is commercial. That's the train track going in the middle of that. So we're gonna jump the train track, and that piece over on the other side of the train track would also be commercial if they come back with that on the other side. How do we get to that? Did anybody know?
It looks to me like you're going to have to come in on Old Dutch Fork Road because it's basically landlocked.
Yeah.
I think this, if I could, I think this will play into that trying to get the intersection at Walmart passed through onto Salem Church to be able to have better access in there. So
Yeah, on that side of the train track, but on this side of the train track, like Bill says, you got potentially landlocked piece of property that's commercial, and that may be commercial.
Something tells me, Mr. Mayor, that the owner will probably come with a request before we get it to the planning commission.
Well, okay, even if it's single-family residential or commercial, I mean, how they gonna get to it? I mean,
Oh, the other side. Yeah.
so I'm not sure.
how they gonna get to it? I mean, unless all that other property is not in the town, and
Well, Mr. Mayor, that's Livingston Place that backs up to it. So, I mean, I would imagine there's probably something in the works to get access via the the backside of the track.
Where that blue piece is is Liberty Place, you say? Well, I'm looking on the,
I mean, it's hard to speculate, but I would imagine if they're doing this for a big sale, they're gonna have some method to get, by which they're gonna get in either to Salem Church. So there's a road on kind of both sides of those tracks, that cuts through there. One's not a public road, the other one appears to be. So if somebody buys that whole parcel, they'll create a road, you know.
well, not if you, I mean, there is no way to get to it right now. There's no,
Old Dutch Fork Avenue.
Yeah.
no, I'm saying across the train track, not, you're not gonna cross CSX line to put a road in.
No, that's the old Dutch Fork Avenue going down right through that 23.
Yeah, on that side. I'm talking about on the other side,
The
Bill.
track split the parcel, Bill.
Yeah, on that side, there's no, it's landlocked. There's no access to that property without crossing somebody else's property that is not in the town and it's not owned by that parcel.
It's also not a problem.
Yeah,
That's something that I'm sure the landowner is aware of.
well, I don't know. You know that?
Sure.
Okay.
You know?
That's fine. Listen,
I hear you.
clerk, read the roll, please. Any more questions? I'm sorry. Will clerk read the roll?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes, thank you. All right, update on the item D, ordinance 2220, update the Irmo zoning map visual. People keep asking me all the time, do we have a map of the town of Irmo and what it looks like? Well, here it is. This is the official zoning map of the town of Irmo as of today, which changes as you see tonight. We just potentially annexing in more property, and those will have zoning designations in it also. But today, this is what the map looks like. And so we've cleared up a lot of discrepancies. There's a motion for first reading.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. And Mr. Sickinger, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I've been in favor of this a long time. I look at this map probably once a day. So I'm strongly in favor.
All right, Dr. Wallman.
Yes, I'm in favor also. We need to get this updated map done.
Okay, Mr. Bush.
Of course, I have a question. So we're getting ready to annex a bunch of property. Does this official map continue to be official when we have to modify it?
It's a dynamic document, and it will change as we annex more properties, as we change zoning on more properties. But at least we have a map that we can refer to, which we don't have one that I know of anywhere printed to start from. And if you notice on the bottom, it has a date time stamp, and it will continue to have a change in that date time stamp as we update it. At least that's why I know that their thought is.
Does this mean that every time we change something on the map, it needs to come back to council to be approved?
No, this is just adopting the official zoning map as a standard of how we're going to move forward and what we currently have today. So as it continues to get improved or changed, when the new versions become available at second and final readings, the mayor will sign it, the clerk will sign it, and we'll post it in our lobby or in our hallway as the most updated version. We'll keep track of the version numbers, but no, you will not have to vote on the map each time. You're doing that essentially when you see these other photos, that's off of the mapping system. So once you make that individual change for that partial, we will update the full map, and then that's what will be on display. Our goal is to be able to get this a little bit more interactive, to go onto our website as well, so people can look at that, click around, zoom in, and have some more uses out of it.
Mr. Danielson? Anybody?
Rodney, what do you got to say? I'm watching you over there. I don't want you to step on anybody's toes, but you're giving me indigestion.
Okay, hold on a second. Mr. Danielson, I know you want to get a comment from Mr. Rodney Tucker, but do you have any comments about this map, the way it stands right now?
Yeah, the comments are how often we have to update this and what's given Rodney Agena over there. So that's what my comment is.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to this is a dynamic map. As we go and annex more properties, of course, this map will change. This map will be updated on a regular basis. If we, like tonight, we changed the zoning designation on Ms. Bush's property from Never Never Land to Fringe Agriculture. That has to be changed on this map, so it is a dynamic map, but at least we have a map, an official town map. This is what the town looks like, and that's what we're establishing tonight. And as we go forward, we're gonna change it and update it on a regular basis with a date timestamp. As far as Mr. Rodney's agita, I don't know. I mean, if he has a problem, he can certainly tell us. But I don't know I don't know if it has any bearings on this. Okay. Any more comments? Seeing none, will the clerk read a roll?
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. First reading of ordinance 2221. I'm sorry. First reading of ordinance 2222. 21, yeah, I'm sorry. And this is the changing of the language. Is there a motion for first reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Sickinger.
This is some cleanup and clarification. And there's going to be a lot of these, and I'm in favor.
Mr. Bush.
Yep, I mirror that thought.
Okay. Dr. Waldman.
This is going to clean up the language. I think that's a good thing.
And Mr. Danielson.
I'm for it, no comment.
Okay. Will the clerk read a roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. First reading of ordinance 2222 to amend the zoning and land regulations. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Sickinger.
Same as the last. Cleaning up and clarifying on violations and penalties.
Mr. Bush. I'm reading this.
I mirror his comments.
Okay. And Dr. Waldman.
I'm supportive.
And Mr. Danielson.
I'm fine.
Okay. Will the clerk read a roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. Ordinance 2223, again, working on maintenance. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Sickinger.
Pretty much the same thing as the last two. Clarification and clarity in our process of zoning permit and building and when work shall commence and all of that good stuff, and I'm in favor.
Mr. Bush?
I mirror his comments.
Okay. Dr. Waldman.
I'm good with this.
Okay, and Mr. Danielson.
I'm fine.
Okay, will the clerk read a roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. Okay, approval for the bid to award a contract to McClam and Associates in the amount of $413,000 for Phase 1 of the Rawls Creek Park project. I want to make a motion, but keep in mind, if you look at the bid, it's broken down into parts and pieces. We can, from what I understand, we can accept the entire package the way it's written, or the builder is willing to do pieces of the contract part that he has. In other words, if you wanted to do the clearing and the grubbing and removal of hydro seeding, that's one piece. We can give that one piece approval on this. Or we can just say, okay, do the whole thing, and then that's what the whole thing would be. So anyways, I'll make a motion for approval of the bid with that caveat. I don't know how we can do that. Do we have to break it up, Courtney, before we approve it, or?
Yes, sir. You can make a motion in a second to hear this action item. During discussion, you can amend it or vote it up. Or down.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to accept this action item, and then,
Yeah, I'll second that.
okay, and then, and I'd like to make a motion to accept certain pieces out of this total bid. In other words, we put it on the table to accept the bid. I'd like to go back and say, hey, the grubbing and the clearing and debris removal, that's reasonable, I think. And Mr. Bush, correct me if I'm wrong. If you think that's unreasonable, please mention it. But we accept that one piece of this bid, so,
Yeah, I'll second that.
okay. Any comments? Mr. Bush?
Yeah, I think we're in kind of a unique situation right now where we only have a single bid for any of this, which, you know, we're founded on competition, and if we don't have a second bid, we have no competition here. And I think my concern is in this unique economy that we have right now, that these prices are somewhat exorbitant. You know, every line item looks like it's, you know, a bit larger. So I would, personally, I think we should vote it down and then kind of start over and maybe break this up into separate things and see if we can get a bid, you know, for the clearing and grubbing, and maybe get a competitive. In other words, get two bids. Yeah, I'm not in favor of a single, like kind of a single bid amount.
Like for the dog fencing area, I know we can get a better deal than $65,000 for fencing.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. Like
the community garden did theirs for close to 10 or 15, you know, and they got the same acreage that we have.
I think maybe we need to get Ivy Heritage to bid on the fence. To be honest with you. But like, I mean, I'm not kidding, but I think these are all too high.
I agree.
Because there was no competition, and I think maybe, you know, just by virtue of the process of breaking this up and getting some bids may give us some time, things, you know, may be more beneficial to a better price structure.
Dr. Wallman?
I agree with Mr. Bush that we need to break this up and get some competitive bids on the different parts of this project.
Okay, Mr. Danielson?
Yeah, I don't, this number boggles my mind. I'm just not going down this road. We need to get a better handle on these costs individually. I think we're all on the same page there. I can promise you if Bill Danielson wasn't on this council and you came to me to build this thing and oversee this project, it would be for a whole heck of a lot less than what we got going on here. So I think to take it a step further, I've lost a little bit of faith in Hybrid for telling us that this is a quality deal. I mean, if I even go deeper into this thing. So no, I'm not in favor at all. We got to go back and punt. We got to figure out what we're doing here.
Yeah. I don't.
Well, I seconded it and I got to go last, but we have had problems in doing the park with clearing. So that part, I mean, if we have to pay a little bit of a premium on that piece of it, we had to fight just to get people to respond to that part of the RFP. So that's why I would be in favor of number one. I completely agree with everyone else on the rest. And I think once you have it cleared and it's down to dirt, down to the clay, then I mean, you know, I can think off of a particular Facebook page, probably 40 people that would bid on fencing. So I'm in favor of number one, but and only because of our experiences with the park and trying to get people, but not the rest.
If I can just add, if you do number one, you've got to do the sediment and erosion control as well. That kind of goes with it. If you're doing land disturbance, that second part's going to have to come with it.
Well, how about if we bid out just that piece? Clearing, grubbing, tree removal, debris, and all that stuff. There's several people that would bid on that I know of.
I mean, technically, they had the opportunity to bid this time.
But they bid it on the whole project, not just that one piece. That's part of it.
They could have submitted individually. I mean, that was part of it. There was some people that inquired about just singular
Right.
pieces, and they didn't submit bids. You got a lot of views. Some construction people bought plans. Only one submitted a bid.
Well, did we tell them that you could submit on one piece, or you had to submit on the whole project?
It said they could call, and that some of them did. They called and got those specifics. I mean, it's put out as one phase, but you could bid on individual, just like the town park improvements that we just did. It was for all those improvements, but Sox and Freeman bid on just the tree work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we would have accepted those as a bid. No one just chose to do that.
Wow.
Now, I think, council's thought on going at it independently, we can do that, bid it out just as a single project, piece by piece, but that's gonna, take this phase now and break it down into piece by piece. It's gonna.
And that's fine. I mean, we're doing the whole project piece by piece. I mean, the first piece is opening the garden this weekend. Second piece is opening the dog park. Third piece is a skate park. I don't have a problem with doing it piece by piece, but if we can get a better quote, maybe on that one piece, clearing and grubbing, as I think it should be all together, and not what we ran into at the community park. I think it's a better deal if we can get somebody to commit to doing it all at one time. But let's put it out there again, and maybe this company will rebid that one piece. McClam will clean their pencil and give us a better price on just that one piece. And maybe they won't. Maybe another company will. That's the way I feel. And if anybody's against that, or what do you think?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll give you an example. The contract including the fencing. I'd rather just go to a fence company and get the fencing. Now we're getting the fence company plus the profit on the fence company plus the profit overseeing the project by the contractor. So we could save money clearly on the fencing.
Yeah,
So that's just an example.
I agree. So we're gonna reject this, or,
Motion's on the floor.
okay?
Well, technically, the motion on the floor is
To
to amend.
pick,
To amend it, yeah.
to vote that down and then move back to the original.
Okay. So will the clerk read the roll to amend, or the motion to amend?
Mr. Bush,
Nay.
Mr. Danielson,
Nay.
Mr. Sickinger,
No.
Dr. Waldman,
No.
and Mayor Walker.
No. So now the motion to approve this bid is, any more discussion on that?
One more comment. I don't want to detract from the bidder also. I mean, the bidder, they get my respect for coming in and putting a bid in, and times are crazy, so, maybe, they put like, what if costs in here too. So, I mean, hopefully that will subside with the economy, some changes coming along, maybe, in the midsummer and towards the fall, we'll get better bids anyway, so.
Renee, you read the roll? Any more? Read the roll.
Question.
I'm sorry.
That's the clearing and grubbing and the sediment and erosion control, is that for the entire park, the entire 10 acres? Not just the dog park part of it? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more questions? All right, will clerk read the roll, please?
Mr. Bush,
Nay.
Mr. Danielson,
Nay.
Mr. Sickinger,
No.
Dr. Waldman,
No.
and Mayor Walker.
No. And I'd like to add on that, Courtney, will you please put another bid out for the clearing, grubbing, and the sediment erosion control?
Yeah, we've contracted Hybrid to do all that work for us, so I'll reach out to them and get them to do it.
And then put out another one for the fencing, and another one for the park signage, ... okay? As opposed to this one thing, okay, thank you. Approval to accept a grant award of $88,000 for a school resource officer at the Irmo Elementary. Make a motion for that approval, and is there a second? Is there a second for approval for a resource officer at Irmo Elementary?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second, and what we're doing is we're creating a position of resource officer to protect the kids in Irmo Elementary, which is in the town limits, and this is something new for us. We never had a resource officer before. That was being done by Lexington County, I believe, and they're asking for us to take that over. And I think we're gonna get a new, in order to get this resource officer, we're gonna actually get a new police officer that's gonna be paid for, with this grant, for basically 9 months out of the year. And then the 3 months out of the year, we'll have them available to us to do other things. I would hope we get more than one police officer, but we'll start with the one and take that and run with it. Is there, Dr. Wallman, is there any other comments?
Yes, I have a few questions. Chief Dale, will we be able to hire a new officer by July 1st to start this position?
So we're promoting it within. We've already got the officer selected. So what we're doing is backfilling the position. He's a corporal on the patrol division, so we're getting ready to do interviews for actually 2 positions that are open July 1st, which is the SRO position and then the added administrative police officer position, which was in the budget for the next fiscal year.
Okay. I have a few other questions just for clarification. There's an agreement, or there will be an agreement with Lexington Richland District 5 for the 75-25 split. Has that been formalized?
We're looking at it now. Will's actually got it on his plate at the moment, but we've gotten the contract that Lexington County's been using, and we're going through it and making our modifications. But yes, that's the plan, is to get a contract in place for you guys to take a look at the next council meeting.
So currently, the school district is paying 75 and Lexington County is paying 25? Is that?
They're actually getting a grant as well.
Okay. And it's my understanding that this grant could be renewed year after year for our 25%?
Correct. Both the grant and the contract will be year to year and July 1 to June 30.
Thank you.
Anybody, Mr. Signature? Or
Sure. So if I heard you right, the agreement with Lexington Richland 5 is a year-to-year agreement. So as is the grant. So is there a circumstance then where we do not have that split and then we're responsible for the 100% of that officer's pay?
That is completely up to council. We're not required statutorily to have a officer in the school. So if the school district chose not to pay for that anymore, we could make a decision on if we would put an officer in that school. If we didn't, I think the burden would then fall back on the county if they are statutorily required to put one in there. I'm not aware of it, but that would fall back on the school district. Historically, the school district has honored that contract for many years. And it was recently, within the past few years since Sheriff Kuhn took office, up to 75%. I think before that it was 60 or 65. So he's got them to agree to the 75%, and they've been paying that for a few years now as well. So I don't see it going away. I don't see the grant going away, but things could change.
So as it stands today, this is not us taking, what you're saying is, because I'm really concerned about this, because we're taking on, and this is a heavy responsibility, and we saw, there's things in the news all the time as to why this is a heavy responsibility for an officer. So we're taking the responsibility as a town to say, we're going to put an officer there instead of Lexington County. And at least in the foreseeable future, probably not a financial burden to the town, but there's a inherent risk, I would say, in putting an officer there, because we may not have, Lexington Richland 5 might not get a bond approved, and then all of a sudden they don't have money, and then they're fighting with us about it. And I certainly wouldn't want to be in the shoes of whatever council has to make the decision whether or not to pay the extra funds to put an officer in the school. That's not a decision I would want to have to make a vote on.
Yeah, but we're not going to.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
We're not going to have to make that decision.
And, well, no, I would hope not. And the other half of it is that it is just as with any officer, a burden of the duty, right, of order and keeping people safe, but even more so in a school environment. And, looking in the news, seeing what I was told was a highly trained troop down in Texas that did not respond the way they should have, and it blew up the whole community. So I have a lot of reservations about this. I don't have any reservations, Chief, about you, the Irmo police, or the ability of IPD to do their job the right way, whether it's in our streets or in our schools. That's not a question, just to clarify.
So your question is what?
It was a statement.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Why are we here? What has Lexington County done? They just want to bail on this position. Is that what I'm hearing?
I can tell you that Sheriff Kuhn has approached us over the past several years, and his staffing issues aren't our issues. I'll make that clear. This is a no-brainer for our community to support, to have our own police officer in an elementary school, especially elementary school when the kids still like adult figures, not to say anything bad about middle or high school, but y'all know where I'm going with that. I mean, Mayor, you brought up earlier when Dr. Wallman was talking about the lunch at Irmo Village,
Right.
and why don't they have breakfast? Well, guess what I'm going to do with this SRO? I'm going to get him to pair with the foundation, figure out what kids in Irmo Village don't have breakfast, and go over there, and he's going to know the kids anyway from school.
Right.
So it can't do anything but better our community, better police relationships. And for Councilman Danielson, when you came to me after the Texas incident and asked me what our procedure is, well, I answered you, but I can't answer for Lexington County. They're in that school. So I really shouldn't have answered you for Irma Elementary School. So I can answer you what we're going to do when something like that would happen. And I just think it's the right thing to do for the community.
As a follow-up, what about the other elementary schools?
So the other two are in Richland County. If you can convince Sheriff Lott to allow us to take those over, I'll be glad to submit the paperwork to have grants funded for those as well.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Mr. Bush?
Yeah, so I've struggled and waffled with this a lot. Can you outline some other Lexington County communities that have done something similar and how that's worked?
Sure. So I talked to some police chiefs in the lower part of Lexington County. Pillion, for example, small town, they have 4 police officers. Additionally, they have 4 SROs for their schools. They have 8 police officers, but half of them are SROs. They're going through the same grant process that we're going through. Pine Ridge, the same way. Gaston, West Columbia just took on a middle school. Within the past couple of years, Lexington police have taken over numerous schools. They've got 2 SROs in the big campus, River Bluff. So I hope that.
This is giving us another officer, basically paid for by, a large portion paid for by the district.
Correct.
Okay. Any more questions?
I just had one more, and that was, if we approve this tonight, you still have the negotiation with the district to get that contract ferreted out. If for some reason that doesn't come to the same terms that we're thinking that it's gonna be here, what option do we have at that point?
We've already spoke to them about the 75%. They're fully on board with that. And, we have no plans to make any changes to that percentage. If we talk about anything within the contract, it's just some of the responsibilities that we would have, that they would have, working out how the billing takes place. I mean, some of the little bits and pieces, but the 75%, they've already basically approved.
Okay.
They said they'll do it.
All right.
They've been doing it.
Okay. Any more?
That's pretty much
Sorry.
all I have.
So real quick, is that agreement coming to council for us to, okay, thanks.
Any more? Clerk, read the roll, please.
Mr. Bush,
Yay.
Mr. Danielson,
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger,
Yes.
Dr. Waldman,
Yes.
and Mayor Walker.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Approval to close portion of St. Andrews Road and Church Street and Eastview Drive for the orchestra. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk read the roll?
Mr. Bush.
Yay.
Mr. Danielson.
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger.
Yes.
Dr. Waldman.
Yes.
And Mayor Walker.
Yes. Last approval to cancel the July 12th meeting
That's the workshop.
of the council workshop. Actually, yeah, this was originally scheduled for the 5th of July, but we moved it to the 12th of July. But then we didn't realize, I guess at the time, we were gonna be at the municipal association meeting on the following day, so. Is there a motion to approval of canceling that meeting, that
So
workshop meeting?
moved.
So moved. Mr. Sickinger, is there a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Oh,
Are there any
I'm
questions?
sorry, I'm gonna make a motion that we amend this to reschedule the July 12th to July 19th. We have a lot of work to do, and
July 19th is a meeting.
is that the meeting?
It's a regular meeting.
I'm sorry, I meant, I apologize, July 26th. We have a lot of work to do. I really don't want to skip a workshop. I have my own personal reasons for being in favor of moving it, but I'm not in favor of not working.
Okay, so you make. Let me pull that up. Can you hold on a second?
Just for clarity, there was a motion to amend to reschedule the July 12th to July 26th.
Okay. So you want to reschedule the meeting to the 26th, the workshop to the 26th? All right, it's been moved. Second, is it moved and second? Is there any other discussion on moving that meeting date? Amending this and moving that meeting date? Well, actually, you're going to amend this to cancel it,
Yes,
to move it to.
it was a
Okay. Any more discussion on that? Anybody has a problem with the 26th? Courtney? We got something going on?
Now, orchestra is planned for the 26th, but they were aware of this potential change, and they wanted to move back to the 12th anyway, so it works out.
Okay. Any other comments? Clerk, read the roll, please.
I actually have a comment.
Sorry.
Is there a possibility of rescheduling it to a different day, perhaps the 21st?
different, yeah, other than a Tuesday.
Other than that, Tuesday, the 26th?
Yeah, I'm in favor of, I mean, as long as it's not a meeting. I'm fine with whatever. I don't want to cancel it, and I don't, and having it not be in the 12th would be good for multiple people, from what I understand.
Well, I'm not available the 21st.
Could I pitch one more thing out there? We're all going to be sitting in Charleston. Is there certain members that have to be present for a workshop, or could we have like an hour and a half workshop while we're there? Is there like?
I wouldn't do it there. I mean, public's gotta be notified and invited and.
Well, you can invite them.
They can come down to Charleston. They can come down to Charleston, can't they?
I was just trying to figure out how to get the best economy for.
So do you want to make this, any more discussion on the amendment to take it to the 26th? Any more discussion? No more discussion? Will the clerk read a roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
No.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
No.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. So we're going to move the workshop to the 26th. President, I want to suspend the rules and go back to,
Clarify. Mr. Mayor, can I
I'm
just
sorry.
clarify? I think there was a motion and a second to cancel the meeting on the 12th and
right, he made a motion to amend it to,
to the 26th.
right.
You voted on the amendment. I think you got to
Cancel the 12. Right.
finish the.
Motion
I thought we made a motion not to cancel it, but to amend it to the 26th.
You did. You took a vote on that to amend it.
So now we voted on the amendment, now we have to vote on.
All right, will the clerk read a roll, please? Sorry about that.
Mr. Bush?
No.
Mr. Danielson?
No.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
No.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. Okay. All right, great, so we're not going to do it.
So I think we just now have 2 meetings.
No, we did nothing.
We did nothing. It's not, we're not going to do it
There
at
is no
all.
outcome.
Okay. All right. I'd like to suspend the rules and go back to the receipt of communications. See Dr. Alonso's here. Dr. Alonso from Universal Leadership and STEAM Academy, will you come forward? And Dr. Waldman, you asked him to be here, I guess.
Yes, I thought it would be good for the community to hear about the summer program that Reverend Johnson has running at the Universal Leadership and STEAM Academy, and he can update us on how that program is progressing.
Thank you so much, and I apologize for being a little late. It's the summer solstice, right? Yeah, and since this camp started on the 6th, the days have been getting longer and longer for us. So I had a class that I'd forgotten that I needed to teach, so I'm here. To each of you, Mayor Walker, members of the council, and the public, thank you for receiving me. And since I'm already late, I'm going to be very, very as brief as possible. Let's see, where did it start? Just, you see some pictures there. Try to show you a little bit that reflects what happens. And I'll go over some numbers with you. I'll give you some numbers in just a minute. But those pictures just kind of show our day. One up top left, classroom day, middle, Saluda Shoals Park. We're outside playing a little basketball. And then down the second row, we're at the community gardens. We actually went out to the community gardens last Friday and cleaned up. The ladies asked us to come out there and clean up the rocks. They had these big rocks out there. So we went out there and spent an hour and a half or so out there and did that with 10 to 11 to 13-year-olds. And there we are swimming at the St. Andrews Park. And then back in the academy, what is that picture right there?
Bowling alley.
Bowling alley, yeah. We over at Anchor Lanes, did that today. We do that every Tuesday. And then back in class, and just doing some activities. That lady, we've been fortunate to have several ladies from the school district who are social workers. They're working with the kids all the month of June, and one of them working the whole summer. And this is a lady doing a workshop on social and emotional learning for 8 to 10-year-olds. 7 to 9-year-olds. No, it's been a long day. Yes, that is 8 to 10. Okay, then the kids just playing ping pong. All right, so basically, tomorrow they go to Saluda Shoals Park. We do that weekly, and on Friday we take them bowling. We were supposed to have, starting on yesterday, but he had some complication, Mr. Dave Priggy, who's over the Kate Center. He's there weekly for 5 weeks doing a workshop for the middle schoolers, the 6th graders and middle schoolers on renewable energy. So he's doing that. We've got a gentleman from a group called Ezekiel Ministries, which does a lot of inner city stuff in Columbia and a lot of work in Lexington County, working with, through several churches to reach kids in some of the toughest areas. He comes out and talks to the kids on Fridays. Yeah, a lot of activities. So rather than me trying to go through all those pictures, why don't I give you...
Do you have any openings?
Yes. Let me talk about that for a minute. Yes and no. Let me talk about that. May I share this?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's just some numbers and. So to that question, I'll just be bland and just give you some numbers. There are 83 families who pre-registered kids by just filling out a one-page application. Of that, 73 of them completed the application. Daily attendance now is 52 daily. What's impacting that is the number of kids who are in summer school and in reading camps and in other programs going on around the district. So as some of these will end over the next week or two, in the latter half, since we go all the way up to the week before school opens, or 2 weeks before school opens, we'll pick up some more kids to add to that 52 that's coming now. There are 44 boys and 29 girls among those kids who filled out the pre-registration or completed applications, I'm sorry. So that's quite a significant number, boys versus girls. We're reaching a lot more boys, and interestingly, a lot more boys coming out of Friars Gate now. That's partly making up that number. And when you get down to the 52 who actually come, those numbers pretty much remain the same in terms of the percentages of boys versus girls. We've got more. In fact, in one class, there are only 2 girls. So that's kind of interesting. Of course, our ages are 5 to 13. We group them, and this is a part of the problem that we're having, Mayor. We couldn't accept any more 5 to 7-year-olds because the class was up to 30. So we finally decided this week that we were going to break it down and have only a 5-year-old class. Since beginning in August, we're going to be doing a First Steps 4K program that will start in August once we cross one more hurdle with that. So we have a 5-year-old class that has about 12 kids. We have a 6 to 7-year-old class that has now 15 kids. We have an 8 to 10-year-old class that has 17 kids. And then we have an 11 to 13-year-old class that has 28 kids. I think I might be a little off with those numbers, 28, 29. There are 6 teachers teaching these kids, and including a couple people from the district and others. We have 4 college interns, 2 from South Carolina State, 1 from Benedict, and 1 from Hampton, 1 from USC, 2 from State, and 1 from Benedict. That's 5, not 4, right? All right, let's try the math, all right? And then we hired 3 students from, 1 from a private school in the Northeast, 1 from Irmo, and another from Dutch Fork High. So they are campers, but because they are now going into high school and they've been with us a while, we actually use them to help. They help clean up. They got a little summer job, so we give them a stipend, pay them minimum wage, and we are paying them for about 12 hours a week to work in the camp, and they don't have to pay to come. Great kids who represent what we are about, what this community is about, what our schools are about. And so, and my wife, whom you met, I guess, the last time we were here, who just retired last week as a psychologist over in Richland 2, to be the director of this program. So she retired to come and take on 60 kids. So yeah, and then along with that, we have drivers and, of course, persons who help with cooking and food preparation and that kind of thing. So those are basic numbers. We've talked a little bit about the weekly activities. Again, we go until the 5th of August, and yeah, that's basically about it. We're working with the community garden. We have 5 beds over there, and so a part of what we're doing is we got several parents who are big into farming stuff, so they're going to be working with the kids. We're going to be doing our beds. We already got the 5 beds, and you know, we're going to be over there Saturday as a part of this celebration, and we're going to be talking to the kids about our agriculture and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Another way to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's a big success.
We'd like to think so. We still have some openings. The issue that we have now, though, is as we bring more students in, we'll have to split off classes, which means you need more personnel, and that gets to be more money. So that's the challenge. We've had to turn some people away. And so if we said keep coming, we would have all of the 80 people in there. But we don't want to overwhelm ourselves. And then we don't have our big bus going because we need a driver. Anybody knows someone who can drive the big bus? It'd make it a lot easier. We could be more creative.
I'm sure Ms. Walker has time on her hands to volunteer or sign up or better for a job.
We need volunteers, absolutely. CDL drivers,
Yeah, she's back there.
mentors.
I'm sure she'd be glad to sign up. Thank you very much.
I'll see you afterwards. Well, thank you all for having me, and thank you for your support. And please stop by anytime and see what we're doing.
Reverend Johnson?
Yes.
If families are interested in finding out more about your program, how should they contact you?
I've got some flyers, and what they should do is just go right to that website, ulsteamaca.org. Again, it's been a long day. And I have some flyers, and yeah, they can go right to that website. They can do a interest form, or they can leave an email, and we respond immediately.
Thank you. And also sponsors, if anyone is interested in sponsoring the program, what would they do?
Absolutely. And I'm thankful to Mayor Walker, who's made some contacts for us, Mr. Danielson and others, to some of our private citizens as well as our government folk. They just need to give us a call and let us know, because again, we do have kids and kids who have needs that we could address better. So just again, through the website. When they go to the website, it asks, do you want to make a donation? Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to inquire about, having your kids come? So if they start there, my wife or I read that email, and we'll get right back to them with a phone call on the day of. That make sense? Thank you all so much, and it's a pleasure to serve the kids in this community and to be a part of what really we know makes a difference. We are residents here and have been here since 96, so we're invested in what happens here and are happy to be a part of this.
Okay,
You're welcome.
thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Back to our agenda, presentation by citizens. Are there any citizens here who have stayed through our meeting, want to address council on anything that we've talked about tonight, or anything you want us to know about? I think we've answered your question. And we have any other comments? Nobody? Great. We don't have a discussion. We don't have an executive session. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.